Hi and welcome back to another weekly GMBN Tech Show. Coming up on this week's show, we got some really cool stuff here. We check out the Pole Bushmaster bike. We also have a look at some very cool new Salsa bikes. We've got the best top mod I think we've had to date. And we also have a little look at quadruple compound tyres. Pole bicycles are well known for making extremely long wheelbase options. We're talking 1300mm plus options there. And they've had the Evo Link, they've had the Machine, and now they have the brand new Bushmaster. Now this bike is a slight change from what they've been doing. It's still very long and very progressive in terms of geometry, but it's about 15mm shorter. Now this is a 29-inch wheel bike and it's based around 140mm of travel front and rear. Now the theory behind this and having a slightly shorter overall wheelbase and front centre on it is the fact that it's going to be a more agile, responsive ride. Hence the Bushmaster name. It's designed to really make the most of those slightly flatter trails, and to me that sounds great. I love a long bike, but the longest of bikes can kind of tame down your local trails, and actually that's where a shorter bike where you're a little bit more out of control comes back into it. So I think you're going to get that gained response from the long wheelbase, but again they've just reined it in a bit. Check it out on the screen. I think you'll find it's absolutely stunning. Like the rest of the bikes, has a very steep seat angle in there, so they're going to climb like a mountain goat. And look at that head angle, super slack on the front there, so it's going to be a really high controlled bike. Now it's got the same glued and bolted design using 7075 aluminium, and I think it's incredible what they're doing. I'm really keen to actually have a go on one of these bikes at some point. What do you guys think? Do you think pole bikes are the future? Do you think they look really cool, or do you think they're the complete opposite? Do you think they're horrible? I'd love to know what you think actually, so let us know in those comments below. Now I actually want to talk about a bike that Steve Jones over on EMBN has just been filming with, because I think it's really interesting. That is the Lapierre eZesty. So this is it with Steve riding it on screen. Now obviously it looks like an e-bike, but a slightly lighter e-bike. So it's using a Fazua system on there. Now the thing that's really cool about this is you can remove the battery, which is a large part of the down tube, and have a blanking battery cover that goes in it. That can be used for storage like you get on enduro bikes. Now the bike is exceptionally light, and the idea is it is kind of like an e-bike but also kind of like a normal bike. So in theory you're getting the best of both worlds there. So if you want to go out for a shuttle type ride where you're quite happy to spin up forest tracks but some of it's quite steep at the end, you've got that assistance if you want that. And then likewise other days, if you're going out with your normal mountain bike friends on your acoustic mountain bikes, the whole thing is you don't run the battery on it, so it's like pedaling a normal bike. Something that's very intelligent and very cool about the motor system on there is when you're pedaling above the speed of the assistance, or if you've not got the battery connected, you're not turning around the gears on the inside of that motor, so it's just like pedaling a normal bike. I think what they're doing is really interesting, and this could definitely persuade some people that are currently on the fence with the e-bike thing, I think, to get one, because of the fact you're effectively getting two bikes for one. Be sure to check out Steve's video over on EMBN. I genuinely think it's a fascinating concept and it's very different from everything else on the market at the moment. The link to that is in the description below this video. I'd love to know what you think of that as well, because I think this could be a game-changing idea. Now this is interesting. Have a look at this Instagram picture that Trek posted. So it looks to me that they're hinting at a natural composite as opposed to using carbon fibre, which they've been using since 1989. Now the first mountain bike to use carbon fibre properly was a Kestrel. I think it's called the MHZ or KHZ, I forget now. I think this is a picture of it on the screen now, and that was in 1988, but Trek was basically straight afterwards in 89. But then by 92 they'd refined their carbon production using an OCLV system, and of course their bikes are absolutely fantastic. It's been numerous Tour de France wins on them, numerous other sort of mountain bike events. So, the Trek OCLV system is very much refined. So it's about time for a change. So we're about 30 years on now. So could they be using some other interesting natural materials? I certainly hope so, because it says a lot about the longevity of using carbons and composites in bikes. Recycling that stuff is quite hard, and although it can be done in the aerospace industry, it's on a much larger scale, so they can cater for that. And I think we're not quite there yet with mountain bikes. So if people are exploring other options for composites and materials, I think this is really cool. So keep an eye out for that. Pirelli have been in the cycling game for a little while now with some really good, or They're supposed to be good road tyres, but more importantly, they're now doing mountain bike tyres. So they've got a range of tyres called the Scorpion, and it's actually all of the mountain bike tyres fall under that name. It's much like the way that they've previously done motocross tyres. Now the tyres are available in a single compound, and this is some of the range on the screen here. And what they've tried to do is really simplify how you buy tyres, rather than just buying, I don't know if it was Max's, oh I want a DHR or a DHF or whatever. What they're doing is by use. So you buy the tyres, so you have the Scorpion H, which is available in, that's for hard terrain, and there's H Light, which is simply a lighter carcass version of that. And then there's M and M Light, that's mixed terrain, and then there's soft terrain and rear specific. There's 2.2 and 2.4 casing sizes on the tyres, and different wheel options within there. The grip compound is called Smart Grip, so it appears to be a single compound, which is quite interesting, I think, because there's a lot of different compounds going on. Maxxis are using 3 compounds on their tyres. Some people are using double, and Vittoria, as we've just found out, using 4 compounds on their tyres, which are like almost space age tech, but we'll get to that later. But I think it's quite interesting that they're sticking to a single compound on their tyres. No idea what they're like. They look like they could be quite good tyres, but time will tell. Salsa Bikes have got some really interesting looking new bikes. Same old names and same concepts, but in some really good looking solid 2019 models. So the one that really stands out to me is the Spearfish. Now I've actually had one of these in the past, and the one I had was an aluminium frame, and it's quite steep and it's quite short, but this is a whole new kettle of fish. Check it out on the screen. So it's got 100mm rear travel on there. It's a split pivot DW, so Dave Weigel linked design there. It runs a 120 fork up front. So I think, you know, I keep telling people about the 29er short travel thing. Man, I reckon these bikes are going to be so popular. They're just starting to latch on. It will fit a 2.3 inch 29er tyre in there. It will also fit 27.5, 2.8 to 3.0. So actually you can fit quite a lot in there. Super Boost out back, so 157mm spacing, as we've seen on Nolly and a few of the other brands. It's interesting to see if people are actually going to take this up. Just when you think Boost 148 is where you need to be, there's 157, so they're going even wider. You can fit 2 water bottles in there, and it's available in 4 sizes. Now I think the frame looks absolutely beautiful. It's also available in alloy, but I'm really liking the look of the carbon one. It's got lovely lines on that frame. And I'm really pleased actually that Salsa are moving with the times and developing this stuff, because they've always made great products, and really nice to see the iconic little chili pepper on the head tube there. Now also they've got the Horse Thief, which is a slightly bigger travel version of the Spearfish. So that's a 120, 140, so that is the sweet spot. I mean, I'm still partial to less travel, but I reckon that's the sweet spot. And they've also got a 27.5 inch bike. So it's a 130, 150 bike, and it's called the Rustler. I think you'd probably agree with me, all 3 of them look like really good bikes. And I also love the fact they've been around for ages, but they still kind of fly under the radar. I know the big bike brands out there are generally the ones people go for, because you get all the warranties and they're easy to get and all that stuff, but I'm always a fan of the sort of the underdogs, and Salsa, they're definitely one of those. Very cool, very nice. Now, the next one was actually a bit of news that came in the form of a press release, and this is from the Santa Cruz Syndicate. So they've partnered with N12 Technologies and Silverstone Paint. Now, Silverstone Paint are based in the UK. They paint Formula 1 cars, and obviously they're going to be doing some very interesting stuff with the team. They're not giving away too much yet, but I think there's going to be some really cool custom paint jobs coming, so keep an eye out on what their syndicate riders are going to be peddling for the World Cups this year. But more interestingly is their N12 technology. So they make carbon nanotubes, they do nano-stitch technology, and again, they're not really saying what they're doing. They just say N12 Technologies, based out of Massachusetts, USA, deliver advanced nanomaterials to our composite engineers, enabling them to create exceptionally high-performing reserve wheels. So are they going to be doing that with frames as well, or is it just with the wheels? I would think that they're probably going to start using that stuff on the frames. Either way, they've always been progressing and redeveloping and reinventing themselves, so perhaps this is another stage in the Santa Cruz bike development. Who knows? I think it could be cool though. And finally, just a couple of little randoms I found when I've just been surfing around on the other websites and that, and seeing what's been going on this week. I noticed that Finals and Loic Bruni are running 27.5 inch wheels out back and 29s up front. They're both out in New Zealand at the moment, training and getting ready for crankworks and stuff. So pretty interesting. They're using data acquisition on their bikes. There's not that many pictures floating around, but you can look for them, you can find them. Pretty interesting, all the same. And I quite like the fact that Loic Bruni 29, his Instagram handle, is finally going to be relevant. Now also the Atherton Bikes project, there's a really cool video with G Atherton over on YouTube. I'm going to put a link in the description below this. It's shot by the guys over at Vital, and it's G talking all about the suspension on his system, which has got that brand new Dave Weigel system on it. I urge you to watch that video. It looks super cool, and if anyone thinks those bikes look a little bit boring, they're far from boring. They are additive manufactured lugs. They can change the head angles and that just by getting a new lug built, carbon tubes bonded into them. I think it's a really exciting bike project, and once they get all that refined and we get to see some more numbers rather than G just saying it's long, I really want to know all those numbers. I want to know more about the bikes. In fact, actually I might see if I can go and see him myself, because he's a really interesting guy and he's really getting into the tech side of things, as you can see in that clip. But good work, Vital guys, thanks for sharing that. Okay, now it's time to dive into Bike Cave. This is where we check out where you keep your bikes. You lock them up, you fettle with them. It could look like our little bike cave here, or it could look like my bike cave at home, or it could be a garden shed, it could be the back of the car. It really doesn't matter. Take some photos of your bike caves and send them in to us. Use the uploader, it's right at the bottom of the screen there. Super easy to use. Just make sure you tell us who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself and your bike cave. So first up this week, this is a wicked one. So this is from Jared in Canberra, Australia. Me again. Another way to cure my boredom was to service all the bikes my brother and I own. Over Christmas and during my downtime, I filled the gaps in my tool arsenal and bought a whole bunch of things to get myself set up properly. Gone through the toolbox, Cathro inspired, still tweaking it here and there to accommodate new bits and pieces. Got my Trek in the work stand. Dude, I'm just having a look around this. It looks cool. I like the fact you've got the mat on the floor there to keep oil and that away from your carpet. You've got your work stand. Nice print on the wall there too. Don't know who's riding in that, but that's pretty rad. Yeah, always good to see. So you've got a nice Canyon, you've got the Trek. It looks like you've got a cupboard in the background loaded with helmets and riding gear, so that's a good use of the space. Is that a carpet or is that a rubber mat? I can't quite see from this angle. It looks quite tough though. Definitely looks like a good bike cave to me. And yes, there's the all-important toolbox. Nicely laid out on the inside there. Very neat and tidy. Nice work, Jared. Thanks for sending those in. Next up is from Greg. His bike is a 2007 Ibis Mojo. I designed a building, I live in the shop. Note the RS1 fork conversion for Industry 9 hub. Industry 9 wouldn't approve. Very nice. Nice hack there. Very good. Man, okay, so this is a serious setup you've got in here. Yeah, there's that RS1 there. What's hanging up in the stand? Yeah, so that's the Ibis in the background there. Very nice. It looks like a proper machine shop, this place. Loads of tools and stuff in there. Yeah, look at that. It's great. Big compressor type thing on the left. So I don't even know what half the things are in there. You've got an enormous vise down there, down the back. Nice, you've got like a little mezzanine area where you keep your bikes at the top there. Oh, look at that as well. And you've got my ugly mug on the TV too. Well, thanks for watching. Cool, wicked. Well, thanks for sending those in, guys. We need some more. Keep us inundated with bike caves. We love seeing them. I've had to chop it short this week because we've got a very special top mod coming up next. But please take some photos of your bike caves and get them into our uploader. Cheers, guys. Okay, now it's time for top mods, and we've got a very special entry this week, which I'm going to get into in a sec. But if you've got any modifications that you've done to your bikes, however big or small, whatever it is, honestly, it doesn't matter. Anything that you've done to tailor make your bike, to look, little hop-ups that you've done to make it yours, take some photos and tell us. Be proud of it. Tell us what you've done to your bike to make it your own bike. Use our uploader there at the bottom of the screen and get them into us. But this week, this is a very cool one. So I recently went out to see our friends over at Vittoria Tyres, and I was having a look around their factory about a whole bunch of cool stuff. Now, their tyre designer, Ken Avery, he was telling me that he watches the show, which is really cool in itself, but he's also done a completely custom bike build for his daughter, and this is just one of the coolest projects I've ever heard about. So this is the bike on screen. I think you agree with me, this thing is something special. So I'm just going to read some of Ken's words here because there's so much of this. So the quick story is that local pro rider Karen Egan had this frame from 2001 and it was long out of commission. So he basically was donated the frame so he could convert this for his daughter. Now the cool thing is, once you put on Facebook, this is what I'm doing with the frame, Frank the welder, yeah, the Frank the Welder contacted him. He's like, dude, like, send your frame over to me. I'm going to give it a bit of love for you. So he had it completely stripped down and powder coated and gave it a completely new lease of life as a new project bike to be built up as a 24-inch wheel kids bike. Of course, this was a 26. Now, the key to this build is the shorter rear shock, which of course slackens that head angle, drops the bottom bracket down, and gives it a bit of the geometry, a bit more like a regular 24 would be. So the stock 6.5 by 1.5 shock was swapped out for a new 6 by 1.125 Fox shock. Of course, slackening the head angle, helping stand over on there, increasing basically a bit more like modern geometry on the bike. And then also ran the short chainstay position, basically, so when you put 24-inch wheels on it, you're not left with such long chainstay. So really, it's quite a comparable little 24-inch wheel bike. It's got 24-inch fork on there and shortened cranks on there. And a full spec. I mean, this is so cool. So Intense Tracer 26-inch frame, size small with a fresh powder coat and all new bearings, so that's all the loving from Frank the Welder there. Fox rear shock, custom one, 6 by 1.125. Suntour XCR 24-inch air sprung fork with 80mm of travel. Stands 24-inch Crest tubeless ready wheels, Vittoria 24-inch Barzo prototype tyres. I was going to say, because when we were over there, we only saw 650s and 29. We didn't see any 24, so that's super cool. So they're like one-off set of tyres for his daughter. That's just amazing. Trailcraft cranks and bottom bracket. Thompson seat post, like this is fully deluxe, the stuff on here, I love it. STG Kids saddle, Callaway 35mm stem, Easton EA7T carbon bar, 3T grips, Shimano XT drivetrain, brakes and pedals, purple FSA headset, purple water bottle bolts, purple Presta valves and a ransom note style name decal. I literally can't believe how cool this bike is. Definitely the coolest bike I've ever seen any 10-year-old kid have. Tessa, you're super lucky that your dad built this bike for you. I think this is absolutely, by far, the best top mod we've had to date. If you've got any improvements on this sort of top mod, have you built a crazy, really good bike for your son or daughter, or for maybe a vertically challenged friend? Let us know. We want to see some pictures of it. We love this stuff. But of course, it doesn't matter if you haven't gone this far. You might have just changed your handlebar grips or cut down your handlebars. That counts. That's a top mod because you're making your bike yours. Take some photos and let us know about it. And also, see what you think about Tessa's bike. Let us know in the comments below. Is this the coolest kids bike you've ever seen? Let us know. Now, Tech of the Week this week is a little bit different. So I went to visit Vittoria Tyres at their production facility in Thailand recently, and there's a whole extended video coming on GMBN Tech soon about that. But the Tech of the Week I wanted to talk about is their 4C manufacturing machine. Right, so they have a machine in one of their factories there. It's the only machine of its kind in the world for producing mountain bike and road bike tyres. It can produce 4 compounds in one tyre tread. Now this thing is absolutely insane. It costs $11 million, and they basically had to get the machine, get it bespoke built, and then build the factory around this thing because it hadn't been done before. It's got a series of feeders that feed in the 4 compounds of rubber, and they produce a tyre that has different characteristics. Now the really cool thing about this is you can have a tyre with immensely soft sidewall knobbles for traction, but they've got the hard support underneath. So what that means really is if you're like someone like a Blake and you go shredding those turns really hard, on a super soft tyre you can tear the knobbles off, and it does tend to happen in really rough races and riding conditions, places like the Mega Avalanche. In fact, I've seen Blake tear knobbles off tyres riding there himself. And basically it provides you with a more resistant tyre that's going to wear better. And then also on top of that, they're actually putting graphene in their tyres now. Now as far as I know, they're the only tyre company putting graphene in. Graphene itself is like an atom thick. This stuff is like, it's microscopic, and they're using it to fill in the holes in rubber essentially, so it provides cut resistance. But from my point of view, the more interesting thing is the fact that graphene can actually make soft rubber last longer, aid durability to the tyres. Some really, really cool tech coming from Vittoria, and it's something that a lot of you might not suspect, and I didn't actually myself, because I know Vittoria from the road world. They're very famous in that, but less so on the mountain bike side. I'd actually sort of overlooked them. But also the guy that designs the tyres for Vittoria, he's responsible for some of the very best mountain bike tyres ever made. So I have high hopes for what they're going to be doing around the corner. So definitely keep your eye out for them, and keep an eye out for our video where I take you around their insane production facility. Okay, there's another weekly GMBN Tech Show in the bag. Got any questions, got any comments, let us know down below. And don't forget to take photos of your bike caves, your retro stuff for Rewind and your top mods and send them in to us. We love featuring your stuff on the show. For a couple more videos, click down here if you want to learn how to install a cable operated dropper post, and click over here if you want to see Thomas Slavik's pro bike check. Hell of a bike that is. As always, don't forget to give us a huge thumbs up if you love our content. If you've got any ideas, again, let us know in those comments below, and click share and subscribe. Cheers guys.